We are back on Inside Politics. Our guest today is Dr. Thomas Schwartz from Vanderbilt University, foreign policy expert. Schwartz, let's talk about what's going on over in the Middle East, particularly in Iran. We've ended our involvement in the nuclear agreement with them. The U.S. is now sending significant naval forces, even B-52 bombers, to the Persian Gulf. We've ordered all non-essential personnel out of Iraq next door for their safety and fears of Iranian attacks in that area. What's going on? Are we going to war with Iran?
I don't think so, but I think the potential for miscalculation is certainly there.
A second lieutenant's decision might.
Well, a second lieutenant's or an Iranian Hezbollah decision to attack American forces.
Because we are seeing a lot of activity by third-party groups that are aligned with the Iranians to attack some ships, to also have a drone attack against some of the pipelines. I mean, it's a very critical situation. But why bring that much extra military force over there, including talking about plans to have as much as 250,000 American troops over there? My goodness, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. I don't really think this president wants a war. He, as you know, even though he sort of massaged the issue, he was critical of the Iraq war, was very angry about the idea that we've spent and done so much in the Middle East and gotten nothing for it. And it did sound like his answer at the press conference yesterday, or not the press conference, but when he was asked, he said, "I hope not," when someone asked him if we're going to war. I think it does seem to me that this is a part of a pressure game that might be leading to the hope for a Iranian call to the White House and a possible summit meeting that would give the president a chance to show himself as the lead negotiator, as he did with North Korea. North Korea was also a situation similar, and he might be trying to repeat that process with the Iranians.
Are we seeing some of the infighting that we're hearing talked about within the White House, particularly maybe some unhappiness between the president and his national security advisor, John Bolton, who's been known to be a hawk on things like this?
Yes, I think that they're clearly, I mean, Bolton was the one who announced the military deployment, not President Trump, which is rather interesting because I think on the North Korean issue, people thought that Trump was being held back by people like Mattis and McMaster. On this issue, it seems like people are thinking Trump is holding back his people, like Bolton and even Pompeo. So it's different, but I do think you see some of the same degree of infighting.
One of the other issues that seems to be coming up is that some of the people in the region over there, like the Saudis, like the United Arab Emirates, are usually the people that are saying, yeah, go after it, go get Iran, they're bad people. In this case, they're actually saying we don't see an elevated threat there. The British commander in that area also says he doesn't see it. So are we not briefing those people? We're not even talking to senators until just very recently about what's going on. And that's kind of odd. Usually presidents go out and try to build support for this, not do the Lone Ranger approach.
Well, that's right. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think this is going to lead necessarily to war, because I don't think the groundwork has been laid with regional allies in any real sense to make sure that there is that support.
And while over the years we've gone to war without congressional declarations since World War II, but there are some things you're supposed to do when you do something like this that Congress has to get the approval, and it would be good they know something about what's going on before you come in and said, well, this happened.
Right. No, and that's one of the reasons I do think this is largely designed for the domestic political impact of getting some sort of a summit or agreement with Iran that could show that the president could then campaign on the idea, I made a better deal than Barack Obama.
Well, do you think that's possible? Are the Iranians ready to make a deal? They're talking about doing more to develop nuclear weapons. They seem to be going in the exact opposite direction.
Well, that certainly is the indication. On the other hand, most of the news from Iran is about how seriously their economy is, the high inflation rate, other issues. So there may be a possibility that some in the Iranian regime might want to negotiate, but you're quite right to say that I think right now the indications are the Iranians are being more defiant than being conciliatory.
The U.S. has been ratcheting up more sanctions against Iran. You talked about how they seem to be having some effect. There was some talk about going so far with these sanctions that they would end these waivers they've given for several of our allied countries to go ahead and continue to receive that. There was some talk about ending those waivers so they couldn't get that oil anymore, but that suddenly got real quiet. Is that
well,
still,
they did end the waivers. They did formally.
They're doing no waivers at all anymore?
They're doing no waivers at all, and this was part of the increase in pressure. Now, how whether they'll be enforced, China, of course, defied this right away and said, we're going to buy our oil nevertheless. But it is the case that they have taken a tougher step on the waiver issue. The question is, how harshly will it be enforced, whether the United States is willing to push many of its allies even harder.
With those waivers, and if there is some kind of military activity or a war in the Middle East, obviously that's going to have a huge impact on the world's oil supply. That probably means very high gas prices. That's a big political hot potato.
Yeah.
Why does the president want to risk taking that kind of an issue on that could boomerang on him and we get $5 or $6 or $7 gas when you're running for re-election?
It could. I mean, if I'm being generous to the administration, I'd say they may have weighed the risk and also seen the fact, and one of the things the president said after a previous time on sanctions in Iran is that the Saudis were going to pump more oil, and so that there would not be this increase. And
but the Saudis don't, at this point, don't be saying, yeah, go over there and keep this thing. They're not saying, yeah, go ahead and
no, they're not. And but still, the idea is that right now, given the strength of the American economy and the relatively large supply of oil, that this is a time when you can take these risks. If they are thinking that they are going to get some sort of
and the president thinks that the upside of what he can do if he gets another deal out of the Iranians, that would be worth taking this risk at this point.
That would be the risk. Now, and the thing is, the president is so impulsive that he can pull back very quickly too, as he did in a way with the statement yesterday. I hope not sort of immediately ratcheting down tensions, at least in part. So.
Dr. Thomas Schwartz from Vanderbilt University is our guest. We're talking foreign policy matters. Back to continue more on the Middle East and other places in the world after this break.